So here we are again. The last time I decided to make a tutorial, I promised myself I won't be making another one. But I tweeted something that if my breakdown video gets 100 likes, I'll do another tutorial. So yeah, let's get started. So here we are making another tutorial for compositing. Live action footage to any random background, I guess. Okay, so firstly, you should have your foreground and your background separated. So as you can see, I have this random soldier, SWAT officer, I'm saying soldier, SWAT officer just walking around. This is my foreground. And as my background, I have this post-apocalyptic interior room, something like that. And we're gonna try to composite this thing into this. Okay, so firstly I'll start with the background. I usually work my way up from the background to the foreground. So for the background, I want a much cooler look instead of a warmer type environment. So I'm gonna add some curves. And I'm gonna mess with the red channels first. Maybe decrease the red. So you can see how the environment got much greener. And then I'm gonna mess with the blue channels a bit and increase the midtones of the blue. And I think this much, yeah, this much is good. And for the greens, I'm gonna increase the green a bit because this looks a bit unsaturated. So just a bit, not that much. Yeah, this should be good. Yeah, this should be good. And okay, maybe not decrease the red channel that much. Yeah. And then I'm gonna add another curve just for messing with the contrast and shadows and highlight. Okay, so the higher you go towards the curve, the wider parts you are touching. So these are just wider parts. And the lower you go to the curves, the more darker parts you are just messing with around, like shadows. So I'm just gonna make an S curve, bump up the highlights a bit and decrease the shadows a bit. So maybe like this. And yep. Okay, maybe not that much. Yeah, I think this is fine. This is good. And then I'm gonna add some lumetri color to this, just for some basic correction and finishing. So I'm gonna decrease the temperature. I think -10. Okay, -13. -13 is somewhat good. -13, and then I'm gonna. Okay, I don't want to mess with the tint and exposure and shit, but I'm gonna bump up the saturation up to 105 or maybe 1.6, I don't know, something like that. And you can go to this creative looks and you can increase the vibrance of this. Yeah, this thing is a very cool thing if you know how to control it. This is too much. 100 is too much, so I'm gonna lower it down to 30, I guess. And yeah, I guess this is it for grading the background. So you can see without and with how drastically we changed the look of the whole interior room. So yeah, I guess we're done with the background for now. And now I'm gonna try to composite the character or match the grading of the character with the background. So again, I'm gonna add some curves to this. Okay, if I add some curves, so okay, this might be a bit complicated. Changing the background was easy, but matching stuff is a bit more complicated. So to match it, I'm gonna first decrease the reds. Well, I'm gonna for the shadows, I want the reds to be not to be that much low. So something like this. Okay, and then for the blues, of course, I'm gonna increase it. But you can see the shadows are affected too, and I don't want that. You can see how this thing can affect your character so much. So this much is good. I think this much is good. Yep. And for the greens, I'm gonna do the same for the greens, just to increase a little bit, not too much, and decrease it a bit from here. Yep. Yeah, I think it looks good. Maybe for the reds a bit less, not that much. And yeah, and for the RGB curves, I'm just gonna make an S curve again. You can make another curves just to make them look cleaner, but that's up to you. So yeah, for now it doesn't look that very well composited, but it's a difference. You can see like it's a huge difference. Then again, we're gonna add some geometry color to this. What the fuck? Okay, add some geometry colors, and for the basic correction, decrease the temperature a bit, -7 I think would be good, and tint a little bit like, okay, now -8. Yep, -8 is good. I'm gonna decrease the shadows a bit, not too much. Okay, like mess with these values, but don't change it too much. I think -9 or -8 is good. And yeah, I think that's it basically for compositing this thing. So okay, now we have matched the characters' colors to the colors of the background. Now we are gonna create some shadows for this. So how do we create some shadows? Okay, this is the cool part. Okay, so duplicate this. We're gonna pre-compose it, or we can just delete these effects first and add a fill. Make it white. So this will serve as a luma map for the shadow, and pre-compose this. Call it luma. Hide this for now. Okay, maybe I pre-compose it wrong. Make it white. Pre-compose luma. Move all attributes. Yep. Now it's a luma map. Hide this. Duplicate this again. Delete all these effects. Then add a fill again. So for the shadow, we want the fill to be black, and we want some Gaussian blur here just to make the shadow much softer, I guess. Yep. And now we're gonna make, okay, this is the shadow layer. I'll just rename things so it's easier for you guys to understand. This is shadow layer. I'm gonna make this luma mat. Make sure the luma mat is above the shadow. And now when I move this, you can see it doesn't go out of like these bounds. So it's marched to here. So okay. So according to the environment, our light sources are like these two light sources, this and that window. So light should be casting around here, I think. So I'm gonna make the shadow something like this. So the light, this much area is our highlight area, and this is our dark area, something like this. And after that, I'm gonna bump up the feather or the softness for this like up to 140. So yeah, it becomes much softer. For live action footage, you want the shadows to be softer, but for like art or manga, hard shadows are better ones. And then I'm gonna decrease the opacity a bit. Maybe to I don't know, 70 is good for now, or maybe 72. I don't know. Yeah, again, mess with these values. These values are not for copy pasting. This method works differently for every different environment, for every different situation. So try to just understand the whole process, how I'm going from my background to my foreground grading to the shadows. Okay, so now I created the shadow for this. You can see like how much this affects the character. So this is the shadow, and now we'll move to the highlight part. Okay, so for the highlight, I'm gonna duplicate this again. Delete the curves and geometry color. Pre-compose this. Call it highlights. Go inside here. So we have this. Now make a new white solid. Pre-compose this again. So why am I pre-composing this stuff? Because when you use mats, you want your clip or any footage to be pre-composed, so it has the same dimensions as your composition. So again, pre-compose the white solid and add a set mat here. Add a set mat. Yep. Add a set mat, changes to foreground. Okay, yep. So you can see how I did not pre-compose this again, and the dimensions of this are so wrong. So I'm gonna delete this, hide this, pre-compose it again, and then it's set mat. Let's see if this works. Hopefully it works. Yep. And now it's correct. You can hide the hide the layer beneath the character layer. And now we're gonna duplicate this set matte. Invert matte. Okay, this is the important one. You have to invert matte from above, not from behind. So when you invert matte from above, you just create this outline, a small outline, which will serve as a light trap for our characters. So yeah, for now it's too thin, I know that. So now we're gonna add channel blur to this. Yep. And make sure it's in between those. And you're just gonna increase the alpha blur to something you want for now. Like I think 60 is good. Yeah, 60 is good. 60 is good for me. Just a small light wrap. I don't want the highlights to be leaking over the shadows. This much is alright for me. And now, for now, this looks bad. I know. Just disable this for now. So again, look at the light source. If the light source is coming from me, it's gonna hit the helmet. It's gonna hit the gun. It's gonna hit this part of the cloth. I think the lower part will be blocked because of the wall and shit. So we don't want our highlights to be here. As the character moves, it's gonna shift. Like this part should be highlighted from this. Okay, so now here comes the long part. It's not that much long, but it's long. So I'm gonna mask this a bit, just so I have this thing as my highlight part. So I'm just gonna skip the masking for now. Okay, so I've completed the masking for this. So you can see just some random pen tool and just to animate the mask pass to have this kind of revealing highlights for as he switches the camera angle. So it's like first I've focused on his helmet and his gun, then it slowly wraps up to his body, then to his legs, just to create that smooth highlight technique. I don't know what to call it, but you'll get the point. So I have this now, and for now it doesn't look that good. It looks a bit messed up, but we're gonna add some deep glow or any kind of glow to it, basically. Yeah, add some glow to it, decrease the radius a bit, and exposure down to 0.7, and then you're gonna mess with the blending modes. So usually I try to do it add, screen, or even overlay, soft light. Yep, I think soft light looks good. Yep, that's about it. Just increase this with 0.8. Yep, this is it. So yeah, now we're done with the highlights. So now when we're done with the shadows and highlight, now we're gonna add some extra touches to this just to make it more realistic. So for the first thing I notice is I have to create some floor shadows and some ambient occlusion, because this looks hella fake. It's just like he's just walking on a sticker or some shit. So I'm gonna create a shadow. Okay, there are two ways to create a floor shadow. You can just duplicate this layer, make it 3D like this, and like try to rotate it and something, get a floor shadow with this. But I think that's just too complicated because he's moving and it will be much harder. So I'm just gonna create a new solid for now, make it black, call it floor shadow, and okay, my After Effects has crashed. So I'm back. Yep, my After Effects just crashed and I hate this software, but we move on. So yeah, as I said, I'm gonna make a black solid, and please don't crash this time, please. Yep. Okay, a black solid, make it 3D, call it floor shadow, so we don't confuse it with this shadow or something like that. Yep. And now we're just gonna scale it down for this bit and enable this, and just like, I guess just rotate it and try to track the position of it. I know there are some better ways to create the shadow, but I find this one much, I don't know, comfortable for me. For now, I'll just skip this part in which I'm tracking this, so you guys don't have to see my pain and suffering. Okay, so I have now created the shadow. Yep, it looks very bad, I know. I just made it 3D and just track the positions and scale of this. And now I'm gonna add some fastbox blur to make it much softer. fast blur, bump it to like 140 or something. Yep, this looks much better. You see how, and like try to match the shadows, softness and the opacity like to the environments. You can see how the shadow matches a bit. I have the opacity down to 70% for this, but yeah, it works fine. And after this, I'm going to create some ambient occlusion maps. So basically, ambient occlusion is when he's stepping down to the floor, it still doesn't look much realistic. It still looks it's on a sticker or some shit. But for that, I'm going to create some black solids and just overlap it above the foot, so it like creates a darker shadow just for the foot area. So just call it ambient occlusion. And again, just you can make it 3D or just mask it frame by frame. So I'm just gonna mask it and disable this. Okay, so basically masking like, okay, so I have this step here, so I'm gonna mask it like this. I'm just doing this for 1 feet. I'm gonna animate the mask path, so whenever he lands his foot, like this left foot, wherever he lands it, this ambient occlusion map is tracked within it. And I'm gonna skip this part for you guys again. Just do this, mask it frame by frame, or not frame by frame, but every gap of frame, and try to track the character's feet for this. Okay, after you've done this, it should look something like this. I've created 2 ambient occlusion maps for the separate feet. You can see with and without them. Let me zoom in here. Like if you like zoom out and see the result, it's gonna be drastically different. Yeah. So it just gives that extra touch of realism to it. So I created that ambient occlusion maps, and now I'm gonna move forward and create some more adjustments to it. Like let's add some God drift from the windows. Yeah, that will look cool. So I'm gonna tint, add an adjustment layer, make it black and white. Curves, again, curves is a very important part here. Decrease the shadows. Okay, so the lower you decrease it, I just want the volumetric lights to hit here and coming from here, so I'm going to decrease it a bit more, something like this, and pump up the highlights a bit so the volumetric light is clearly visible. Maybe something like this. Yep. And then add a CC radial fast blur to it. Oh my god, my voice. Label this. Move the position about somewhere here. Increase not much. Okay, first let's change the blending mode to screen. Oh, you can see there's some good goddamn volumetrics here. God rays are. Why do I say volumetrics? So yeah, a bit here. Yeah, I'm gonna position a bit here. Decrease, maybe not that much. Yeah. 79. Yep, 79 looks good for me for now. And now I'm gonna add some extra final touches to this, like some particles, some dust particles, some more grading. And you can see how much it has changed from just one set of looks. And after this, just add some particles, some pan crop and lens blur. And that's about it. You're done.